the meditation of my heart, words of my mouth be pleasing and acceptable to you, Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Please be seated. What about that Old Testament lesson today, huh? Talk about an encourager, you know? This is what the Lord showed me, a basket of summer fruit. And you're like, okay, I like where this is going. Basket of summer fruit. And then it goes downhill, you know? I was going to preach on it just because I thought, let's see if I could do this. And then I decided after 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, I was like, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to try to do this. And then I said, okay, well, there's going to, 3 years from now, it'll come back, So in 3 years from now, you'll get an Amos chapter 8. For today, I'm backing away, taking the easy one, and we're going to go to Colossians. It just preaches a lot easier. Let me just be honest with you. That whole concept of, I can't get over the Amos line though, of them selling the poor for silver. Then that line of giving the sweepings of that. There is something to say. But we're moving on. Today, in a few minutes, we're using Eucharistic prayers. Some call it the Star Wars prayer. Others have different names for it, but it's a prayer that talks about the God of all power, ruler of the universe, that you command all things king, the vast expanse of interstellar space, galaxies, suns, planets in their courses, and this fragile earth. That prayer seat. And where does it come from? Well, come to Colossians chapter 1, 15. It's a reminder of us as the people of God that we are not just the centers of the world, that God is the thing. God is the one who centered our lives, holds us together. The Vera P. Rubin Observatory just got finished up last year. It is an observatory in the mountaintop in the Atacama Desert. It is the world's largest digital camera. And to say it's a digital camera kind of makes you think like, I can just pull out my phone. Like, I've got a digital camera. This is 32,000 megapixels. It is the largest sensor that's ever been built. And it is taking of the dark sky, and its purpose is to find dark. Purpose is to take invisible light, the same kind of visible light waves we have, of stars that are bending light around. That's what it's doing. And every time I think about it, Melinda and I have been at the McDonald Observatory down in West Texas. We've seen the stars and the nebula. It is to look up, I have realized that the same God who made the Earth's stars and the galaxies, fund them in their courses. The same God that loved, He knows us the same way that He knows the stars, the moon, and all of the vast cosmos. The observatory's first look took a feature of a vibrant Trifid and Lagoon nebulas. They're located about 1,000 light years away. A light year is trillion miles. So 1,006 trillions. I don't know. If you go to an exponential calendar, it's like, calculator. It's something like 10 to the 29th seat. That's how many miles away the camera's taking. day we find Paul is talking about a picture similar picture of a God who he himself is before all things, and in him all things are held. He is the head of the body. The church is the firstborn from the dead, so that we might all have a place. Paul looks to the heaven and doesn't see just the moon, doesn't just see the stars and go, that's perfect, right? He looks up there and he remembers the Abraham. He remembers that God promised Abraham that your descendants will be like the stars in the night sky, like the sand on the... And he is reminded that covenant. He looked and he thanked, and I don't know if he's daydreaming or not, but I can imagine him out in the middle of the desert somewhere, sitting on a rock, just looking up the heavens and realizing it. Abraham did know that. Abraham did realize the promise of this wasn't Isaac, his son. The promise was Isaac's lineage, who holds all state. What's it say at the end there of the first page 5, the bottom? It says, for in him all the fullness of God was pleased to dwell. Through him God was to reconcile to himself all things, whether on earth or in the heaven, by making peace. Paul doesn't just make it big enough to say you and I are part of the story. Paul says that say that place. Well, let me go back here. The Renifad Nebula is part of the redemption. I don't know if you like CCR, Clearwater Revival, but they talk about a little something about the heavens as well. And I want to share it with you because I think it's apt for what we're talking about today. They say that they see a bad moon. They see trouble all the way. I see earthquakes and light in bad times today. Don't go around tonight. It's bound to take your life. There's a bad moon on the rise. Now, given it's true, there's a bad moon on the rise, and we've seen some horrible weather in the last couple. We've seen earthquakes in Alaska, all around the world. We've seen some nasty weather. But God, as much as we see in this passage, Paul describes the greatness of the cosmos is very much in the reach. We also see the connection of the cosmos with Christ's death, resurrection. The mystery of the heavens is answered right as he reconciled himself, his body, so that we might be holy, blameless, irreproachable. Or, as Paul says, bright you with the hope. If you want to know what glory looks like, you fright in you and in others. That's the hope. We talk about things like you rest in his peace, you rise glory, right? This is part of our liturgy, right? One rests in peace, R-I-V, right? And then we rise in glory. Yet, part of that rising in glory can be here, right now. Because in Christ in us can do infinitely more than we ask or imagine, right? Christ in us reminds us that the heavens declare Christ. Jesus is the immutable and the God. The voice that created the very cloud, hot gas, that became matter and anti. Jesus pulled everything together. And is he doing that with the universe? How much capable of being that. If you feel as if your life is out of, if you feel as if the waters have been rising and you're barely swimming, if you feel as if a world is collapsing around you, that it just is well, look to the heaven. Look to the heaven. Look up on a dark. Look at the clouds. Realize that He is all. Forget Him. Doesn't forget Him. Even when tragedy strikes, He doesn't forget. Even when pain is real, doesn't forget Him. Even when suffering is very close. Hold. In the name of the Father, the Son,